E-W-S.
The Overnight Underground Podcast. Here's the headlines. Tylenol hoarding is now underway.
You're high on drugs, I can see that.
Privacy? That's so last century. Boris is hanging in there. Rand Paul gets sprung. Trudeau is moist.
My heart is falling down around my ankles like a wet pair of pants.
The airlines are getting greedy, and drones enforce the rules in New Jersey. These stories and more coming up on today's Overnight Underground News. I'm John Ford. First, it was toilet paper. Now it's Tylenol. Drug maker Johnson & Johnson is detailing shortages of acetaminophen in some areas of the country. CBS 4 Miami reports that acetaminophen is selling out and being rationed in some stores in the U.S. Tylenol is a preferred medication for fever over non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen. How soon till we start seeing fights at Walmart over Tylenol? Any minute now.
Come on, get up and fight, you shivering junkyard.
Although we try to avoid Trump's tweets as much as possible, this morning the president tweeted that allowing statewide mail-in voting in the coming presidential election might bring bad news for Republicans.
We can do no less.
Trump said that there would be, quote, tremendous potential for voter fraud. Mr. Trump said this yesterday during a news conference.
So you were highly critical of mail-in voting, mail-in ballots for voting.
I think mail-in voting is horrible.
You voted by
it's
mail
corrupt.
In Florida's election last month, didn't you?
Sure, I could vote by mail for that.
How do you reconcile
because I'm
that?
allowed to. Well, that's called out of state. You know why I voted? Because I happen to be in the White House and I won't be able to go to Florida to vote.
I'll just leave that there. You've probably noticed privacy has taken a back seat to the panic induced by the coronavirus crisis across the U.S. Still, in many cities and states, authorities are collecting the addresses of those who test positive for the virus and then forwarding those to the police and other first responders. NBC News reports that Massachusetts, Alabama, and Florida are just 3 states where the info sharing is being instituted. Although the government claims altruistic intentions behind the data gathering and sharing, privacy advocates are crying foul. And many believe that those infected may not seek medical care or testing over fear of law enforcement profiling.
Has this card been honored by police officers?
Boris Johnson still hanging in there in intensive care, but according to the BBC, he's responding to treatment from his doctors as he spends his 3rd day in the hospital. Downing Street released a statement that he is receiving close monitoring and is clinically stable. Physically stable, that is. Back in the U.S., Senator Rand Paul has recovered from his bout with coronavirus and is spending his time volunteering at a hospital in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports that Paul tweeted a picture of himself wearing a doctor's smock and a shit-eating grin, that he's been retested for COVID-19 and is free of the virus. Quite possibly the strangest story of the day, Radio Free Asia reports that some Chinese citizens have said that during the height of the coronavirus crisis in Wuhan, China, people were being cremated, as in burned alive. According to reports, there are alleged video clips of screams coming from funeral homes and from inside the furnaces. Radio Free Asia at this time reports they are unable to independently confirm those reports. I just don't know what to make of that one.
It's damn hot!
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke to the Canadian people yesterday, telling them to socially isolate, stay inside, and avoid speaking moistly.
If people want to wear a mask, that is okay. It protects others more than it protects you because it prevents you from breathing or speaking moistly on them. Oh, what a terrible image. But it actually is something that people can do in certain situations.
Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau speaking to the Canadian people yesterday and undoubtedly this morning wishing he hadn't. Moistly. Meanwhile, in Quebec, Premier François Lejeune, I honestly have no idea, I faked that, has calmed the fears of millions by claiming that the tooth fairy is immune to COVID-19 and has been declared an essential worker. You know, you just can't make this shit up.
And for the children asking, I can confirm that the tooth fairy now is on the list of essential service and is immune to the coronavirus.
No word on the Easter Bunny's designation at this time, but we'll keep you up to date. Some very sad news this morning. Singer-songwriter John Prine has died following his battle with coronavirus. The songwriter, known for penning such classics as Angel from Montgomery and Spanish Pipe Dream, died Tuesday at Nashville's Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Bob Dylan, who knows a thing or two about such things, once said of Prine stuff. No, see this. Me tell you, Prine stuff is pure Proustian existentialism, Midwestern mind trips to the nth degree. Prine was 73. Even coronavirus can't stop the lawyers, with airlines under the gun, canceling flights, and ticket holders reportedly having a hard time getting refunds. It's time for some good old-fashioned lawsuits.
Sue De Niro, S. Me De Niro.
According to ABC News, a police officer from Minnesota is suing United Airlines with a class action lawsuit in federal court over a rejected ticket refund claim. The officer is alleging the airline refused to refund 3 tickets he purchased in January for a grand total of just over $1,500. The Department of Transportation recently reminded the airlines that they remain obligated to provide a, quote, prompt refund for canceled flights affected by COVID-19. Meanwhile, lobbying groups for the airlines are prodding Congress. Well, let's face it, Congress could use a good prodding for relaxing the rules and regulations regarding refunds on canceled tickets. Let me tell you, I'm shocked. Just shocked. NPR further reports that airlines argue that due to the fact that they're on the brink of financial collapse, they can't afford to give customers refunds for canceled flights. Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? But remember, these airlines want another bailout from the federal government. Personally, I think the bailout's a great idea, but let's just give them the bailout and crappy hotel vouchers, and we'll all be square. New Jersey announced on Tuesday they will start using drones to disperse crowds. The drones will essentially be yelling at people who don't follow social distancing rules. NJ.com reports the Elizabeth police will begin using the drones that have pre-recorded messages, telling residents to stop hanging around and go home. Maybe they should hire someone's cranky mom for the voiceover job. I bet that would work.
Yes, Mommy dearest.
The city of Elizabeth also posted on their Facebook page that, quote, summonses have and will continue to be issued to those found in violation. Citizen fines are up to $1,000. I'll bet dollars to donuts that some of the fine folks in Elizabeth will look at the drones as fine fodder for target practice.
N-E-W-S.
A mostly correct and occasionally incomplete transcript and links to reference sources and articles of this Overnight Underground can be found at overnighdunderground.com.